not something you have. It's something you do. And what's the benefit of turning it into a do as opposed to something you have? What's the benefit? You have control over it because you can put it into a process. It becomes a strategy because there's a strategy for reading faster. There's a strategy for remembering names. There's a strategy for having focus. And it's a verb, not a noun.
Hi, Matthew. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Laura. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Kim. I can.
Hi.
It's on mute.
Nice to see you. I'm just going to make sure that all my tech is working right. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, for me.
Thank you. Great. I'm so glad you guys could join. Thank you for being punctual. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. Oh, I see. Okay. Hi, Laura. Thanks for letting me know. So before we start, I'm going to share my screen for a second. Because I'd love to get to know you guys, even though we're all virtual. In the chat box, would you type your name and the city you're in, and then one thing that you're grateful for today? Hi, Erica.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
How are you? I'm so happy you could join. I'm good. You?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm trying to see. I can see you. Oh, there you are. Okay. I'm like, I saw it really tiny. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
All right. So if you guys have a second, I'd love to hear in the chat box what your name is, your city, and one thing you're grateful for today.
Oh, how do I do that?
Emily is in Alameda. What's up, Bay Area? I'm in San Francisco too. She's grateful. Emily in Alameda is grateful for her kids and their pure joy. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Emily. Anyone else? Yeah, Laura is from Greenville, South Carolina. She's happy to be here. Grateful for her dear friend Brandon that she met this summer and told her about this call. Is Brandon on here too? Anywho, Laura, I'm really happy that you found out about the webinar. Really nice to meet you. Hi. Erica is in Tennessee. I don't even know how to pronounce that city. Gallatin?
Yeah, Gallatin. Right? Yes.
She's grateful for her health and her children. Thank you guys for sharing. Tiffany.
Hi, Kim.
I thought that was you. Air hug. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for joining.
I'm so glad to be here. This is so cool.
Yay! I'm so glad you think so. All right, let's give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Oh. So I'm going to be really honest with you guys right now. You probably already know I have a corporate yoga and meditation company. We are completely virtual right now, and I have a client starting a class taught by someone else at 2 o'clock. And I'm just praying, because Zoom doesn't really let you run concurrent meetings at the same time, that both of our classes can run at the same time. So if you see me on my phone, it's me simultaneously leading this meeting and addressing what's going on with another class. And if you're looking to create a virtual corporate yoga business, this can be you.
So Kim, what part of California are you in?
I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, where it's beautiful and obscenely expensive.
That's what I hear. I know it's my dream to visit California, but I'm like, ooh, child. I'm from New York, so it's just as expensive. Well, more expensive than New York because you guys have better weather.
Yes. Oh my God, New York is so amazing. Yeah, the weather yesterday actually here in San Francisco, it hasn't been super awesome here lately. Not that we can spend a lot of time out in the weather, but
Right.
It was so beautiful. It kind of brought me back to normal to walk outside and feel the rays of sun on my face.
Nice.
Actually, I'll take an opportunity and kind of intro myself with the my name, city, and one thing I'm grateful for. So I'm Kim, and I'm in San Francisco, and one thing I'm grateful for. Oh, I'm not a big technology person in a general sense, but right now I'm feeling very grateful for the fact that we can all unite online right now and learn from and learn and dive into challenges that you guys may be enduring during this pandemic, and how to gain more control over your yoga businesses, and maybe almost like find a new calling through this pandemic, or expand upon your calling during this pandemic. Like, rather than having something happening to you that you feel like is bogging you down, that you cannot control, like, how do we use this pandemic to serve us? So yeah, I'm really grateful for technology and for you guys all being here. It looks like I'm gonna give it another minute with the hopes that we may have some more stragglers joining in. One thing, wait, Anushka, are you on here? By the way, I'm like equally excited for all of you. Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. How are you?
It's okay. I'm good. You?
I'm good, thank you. It's like 10 p.m. over here, so yeah, because I'm in London. Everyone, hello.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
Thank you for maybe sacrificing some sleep so you can join. Crystal, I see you too. Before we start, for those of you who may have just joined on, in the chat box, if you could please write your name, your city, and then one thing that you're grateful for today. Hi, Elizabeth. Oh. Laura, I just saw your message. You're hilarious. Yeah. Your thing.
Like total.
All right. So Anushka is in London, and she's grateful for being in the Northern Hemisphere right now because spring is coming. Yes.
Yeah.
Tiffany is in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's really grateful for spring, and the weather is really beautiful right now. She says that she has lots of space there, so it's easy to be outside yet still be distanced. Okay, I'm kind of jealous of that. That sounds great. Hi, Crystal. Crystal's in San Francisco, and she's grateful for online opportunities. Smiley face. All right, looks like we have 10 people who just joined. Hi, Jay. Nadine. I'm air hugging all of you guys. Hi. Nice to see you.
Hey.
So Elizabeth, I think I remember you from Union Yoga. Is that right? Okay, let me get. Thank you guys for your patience. I swear I'm gonna start. And just to give you an idea of how long this meeting I'm anticipating to last is about 45 minutes. All right. Let's get started. So, so welcome to this webinar on how to teach virtual yoga. So today in this webinar, we're going to explore, one, how I successfully transitioned 90% of my in-person corporate classes to virtual remote offerings. Two, I'm excited to share with you the most important elements to manage to host a successful virtual class. So we'll talk about how to teach, space, sound, and technology. And then number three, we'll talk about, I'll share inspiring stories. I'll share my story, of course, and then I have a couple other stories of teachers near me that are, instead of losing business through the pandemic, they're actually flourishing in these times. And then I invite you to get as much out of this webinar as possible. I understand if you can't stay for the whole thing, but I recommend that you stay for the whole thing, especially because at the end I have a special offer for you. So first off, my heart goes out to anyone suffering during this pandemic. And I send my thoughts and my warm wishes to anyone who has family that is directly impacted and potentially ill. I am sending my good wishes to those who are working in grocery stores and working in hospitals and putting themselves out there in their work. My heart goes out to, my heart goes out to any yoga teachers out there who may have lost work and who may have felt financially unstable and scared and anxious and unable to pay their bills. I hope that everyone will be all right, and I would love to do everything that I can to help yoga teachers. So although there's a lot of suffering going on through this pandemic, now that all of my business that I have right now is virtual, I've talked to a lot of different companies directly about what their employees need while they're working from home. And what I'm seeing is that people need yoga and meditation and self-care practices more than ever. And what I've heard from my clients directly is that people who are experienced or new to working from home, they're having a tough time separating between work-life balance and work, right? Everything's bleeding together. It's hard to stop. A lot of people are working at home with their spouses, and that may not be easy, nor is it pretty, right? Maybe lots of fighting, it's intense, it's stressful. And then there are children, right? And I know that there are some people on this webinar with children that you may be homeschooling because schools are shut down. So all of those elements together, people need yoga and meditation and self-care more than ever. What I've seen also through my experience in working with my clients is that compared to the percentage of participation that we've seen on site, participation in a general sense has doubled. I'll give you a specific example. One of my teachers on my team has a class in Foster City, which is here in the Bay Area, and we offer a weekly class, and in that class on site, the teacher, Sarah, typically has about 25 people on average. What we've seen after offering 3 virtual classes, I believe it's 2 or 3, weekly, is that last time she held class, there were 100 people. So that's times 4. We see that families are doing yoga together. I was teaching a class 2 weeks ago, and I saw a set of kids practicing with their mom, and it was adorable. Both kids were in their jammies. One of them was on the mom and down dog. So adorable. We're seeing families practicing together. I'm also seeing the family pet, which I love. And there's something very intimate about seeing people practice in their home. And that's been, I feel like I'm more connected in a way, even though it's through a screen. I'm seeing something more intimate with my students as we offer virtual yoga. Also, because people are needing yoga more than ever, especially corporations, my leads coming in through my website, people looking for corporate yoga, looking for my services, leads or inquiries have doubled. Long story short, and I'll probably talk more about this later, my business has grown through the pandemic. But I want to go backwards a little bit and talk about my COVID story a little bit more in detail. So I'm going to go back to early March, and this is pre-shutdown, and I think we all knew that COVID-19 was a big thing in Europe and Asia, right? China, big thing. And I pre-shutdown was at my top client and here in San Francisco, and it's early March, and I saw one of the employees wearing a mask, and I thought, I'm going to be super transparent and honest. I think that person's being overly cautious. I think that COVID-19 is a big concern in other countries. I'm surprised he's wearing a mask. And then 3 days later, this client emailed me, and they said, in pursuit of keeping our teams healthy, this is my biggest client, my most frequent client. This is a client that pays half my rent. They said, we're going to cancel our program for 2 months. And there was no guarantee that they were going to come back. So this is the start of shifts in my personal business with the start of the pandemic. So I lose my top client, and I'm freaking out. I'm worried about how I'm going to pay my rent. I literally called my auntie, and I said, Auntie, I may not be able to pay my rent. Like, I have savings, but I don't know what's going to happen over the next couple months. Can you help me pay my rent if I need? So I'm going into damage control, right? Like, how do I keep where I'm living? How do I not lose all my business? So after I lost that client, I can be a catastrophic thinker. I went to, okay, this is my top client. Maybe this is the start of me losing every single client. And I, ruminated in that, which was super, super scary. My nervous system was just jacked. At the same time, I was about to leave for Spain for, what's in quotes is vacation. It was supposed to be a vacation. And after losing that initial client, I didn't think it was super smart to go to Spain. But I decided, I've had this thing booked for about 4 months, Nadine, and I decided to embark on the trip. I go to Spain. Within 36 hours, I get email after email after email of clients I've worked extremely hard to work with, business I've built over 10 years with a team of teachers of about 10, 12 people. I got 7 to 8 emails of all my clients canceling while I'm in Spain. I had a meltdown, crying, calling friends, calling my digital marketer, freaking out. I didn't know how to bear what was happening. And I took an anti-anxiety pill that didn't really work. I was pretty desperate. I decided to fly back from Spain. I made it back. And within a week, I lost 90% of my corporate business. Yeah, it was really hard. And I'm happy to share the story because, if you're suffering and you've lost work, I want to think for you that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because there certainly was and is for me. Fortunately, through this meltdown, I had help, and behind the scenes, I had a plan. So fortunately, right before the shutdown and before I started to lose all my business, early on in my business, I had worked with a digital marketer who helped me to, from a digital sense, set up my business in the way that I wanted to market online. So pre-COVID, early February, I had reached back out to my digital marketer because I knew I wanted to grow the business. And it's easy for me to admit I know a lot, and then I also know very little. So I love to get help, especially business help. I signed a contract with him. So when I came back from Spain, I was already working with him. So while I was losing clients in Spain, my marketer and I already had a strategy to go virtual. You may be wondering, did I know how to go virtual? And the answer is not really. Although a year and a half ago, because I saw a gap, I saw a hole in resources for people like me who wanted to teach corporate yoga, I thought, people who want to teach corporate yoga and who want to acquire corporate yoga clients, they should have a tool to know how to do that. And I created a virtual 15-hour teacher training. So it's all online. That training was recorded and then accessible after rather than live. So that's kind of the video yoga experience I had, okay? At the top of this slide, you can see the smartest thing I've done and continue to do. I think the smartest thing I've done and continue to do is that I admit what I'm good at and I admit where I need help. And I think it's smart to have help from someone who has wisdom to support you, especially professionally. I think the other smart thing to consider is diversify your business. Like if you imagine that all you're doing is teaching studio classes and then the shutdown is happening, you're left with nothing, right? Because the shutdown is killing all studios short term. So more than ever, it's more important to diversify your teaching and diversify your business. So you may be asking, what are the steps that I took to rebuild my business? And happy to go through that. One, the first thing I did, anytime I had a client canceling, I had an email ready to go. So as soon as I would get a cancellation, I was within seconds probably sending an email out to the client expressing my concern and promoting our ability to now support their teams virtually. So I was extremely responsive and ready with a template email that I would customize for each client. 2, I had a teacher on my team. Her name is Sarah. I had her create what we called an immunity boosting video. It was about 20 minutes. And it was a video with a meditation, with desk stretches. Sarah is also a holistic nutritionist, so I had her throw in some nutritional tips to help boost immunity. Basically, I wanted to create a tool that we could use to send to people that could be interested in our services. So I sent this video out with an email to past clients. I sent it right away to clients that had canceled into warm leads. I wanted to give a sample. I wanted people to be able to experience what it's like to be really, really stressed, and then to feel the power of what we do, right? Yoga, meditation, and yeah, we threw in some nutrition. 3, over the years, I had built a database of almost 2,000 leads. I created an email batch campaign. So that's where you guys have probably used like MailChimp. I personally use PersistIQ, where you're able to upload a bunch of contacts, create a template email, set multiple emails to maybe go out every other day within a single campaign. And it can take you minutes to set up a campaign that reaches 2,000 people, right? So that's what I did. I sent an email batch campaign to notify people of our virtual shift. 4, I leveraged social media. I started to provide valuable content that was themed to basically what I think people need during the pandemic: stress relief, promoting focus, building focus, poses that help to improve posture. I posted pics of me and my team conducting virtual classes. The last thing I did was my marketer and I, Brandon, he set up Google ads and Facebook ads to promote our virtual offerings. I'm happy to say 4 weeks into quarantine that after losing 90% of my business, I'm so grateful to say that a month into quarantine, my business is back to not just 100%, but we've grown 15%. So we're bigger than ever, and I've retained 85% of our business and added some new clients too. By the way, I'm sure that you guys may have some questions coming up in pursuit of staying within the 45-minute goal. I would love for you to maybe take some notes if you have some questions along the way, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A, and so happy to answer any questions that you may have. So in this slide, pivoting to virtual corporate offerings. You may be wondering, is virtual teaching different from in-person teaching? I think it couldn't be more different. Abso-freaking-lutely, it is so different. I want to go through the disadvantages and advantages. So the disadvantages of teaching virtually. 1, it's not as safe. 2, it's not as communal. It's hard for people to feel like they're part of a community and together. 3, it's easier for people to put off. 4, it can be damn hard to follow. Advantages. 1, we're helping to foster community during a very difficult, stressful time where people feel very fragmented from their families, from their coworkers, from their friends. Another advantage, number 2, we're reducing stress, anxiety, and people are pretty sedentary right now, so we're helping them to move. 3, we're helping people to reclaim focus, to feel more happy, maybe smile some more, feel better in their bodies, and feel more calm. 4, it's fun, right? Like to move your body, to see people virtually. I have a lot of fun each time I teach. And I know that the students are getting a lot out of it and having a good time. 5, we're giving people a badly needed break. We had talked about earlier how work and home life are all kind of bleeding together, and people are working longer hours, and it's good to set that break of, okay, I've got yoga right now. I'm not going to let anything else in the way, and it's in my calendar. So we're hoping to give people a break. Teaching. If teaching virtually is absolutely different than teaching in any other way, in person, on site, then what do we need to do to make our teaching effective? I think the most important thing is to be aware of the disadvantages, right? So the previous slide, like, know what the disadvantages are. It may not be so safe. People may put it off. People may not feel as connected. So to keep that in mind. To also be aware of the advantages, like what is so awesome about virtual? How do I really highlight that? And then to focus on the unique needs in this unique time and teach to that. So I would recommend you prioritize, and this is definitely what I do every time I teach, is to focus on stress relief, fostering community, to do your best, do everything that you can to keep people safe, to be super, super clear, and to make it fun. Life is so hard right now, make it fun. Here's some additional tips. Be authentic. Now is not the time to try to be, a Rodney. Now is not the time to be, whoever your yoga idol is. What I recommend is be you. Always be you. Be authentic. If you're flowy, be flowy. If you're alignment-based, continue to be that way. The next thing is you're going to encounter most likely your virtual classes will have more people than ever, which also means that you will probably have new people who may be brand new to yoga. So I recommend teach poses that are safe yet effective. In my virtual teacher training, I talk a lot, and I think this is representative of kind of my teaching ethos, is I like to teach quality, not quantity. So, and that really applies to teaching poses that are safe yet effective. Like when I'm teaching triangle pose, for example, I don't teach it to be, super sexy. I don't teach people to go in and out of it super fast because I think that's dangerous. I teach people to do it with mindfulness. I teach people how to increase stability so that they feel really safe to be able to expand maybe more deeply in a flexibility sense. So teach poses that are safe, advocate quality rather than, doing 6 million chaturangas, and focus on improving posture, stress relieving poses, soothing nervous systems, boosting energy when it's appropriate, especially if it's a morning class. And I think it's safe to say people are wigging out emotionally and mentally. And so focus on grounding meditation techniques. Focus on poses and, use pacing that helps to soothe the nervous system and stabilize people, because people are all over the place. When you're demoing, you want to make sure that people can see you. So I'll give you an example. I move a lot when I'm teaching virtual classes because I step away from my screen if I'm demoing so that people can see my full body. And then when I want to see people, I have to walk up to my screen because I'm kind of blind, right? I'm not really blind. But I go close so I can actually see people. So there's a lot of like going in, going out, zooming in, zooming out with my body. And then I'll say, for example, okay, so I'm going to demo bridge pose, but I know it's best for you to see if I turn to the side. So then I'll turn to the side so that they can actually see the point of focus that I'm trying to demo. So you want to kind of like be aware of what am I teaching? What do I need people to see? and adjust your body so that you can make that easy for people. So one of the disadvantages is that you're not in front of people when you teach virtually, right? You're physically not right in front of the person. So one thing I want to discuss with you is how do you engage your students when you have the screen between you? I have some techniques that I've played around with, and I love to learn from my team. So here are some of the tips that I've acquired. First one is talk and say hi before and after. Like, this really helps tap into that sense of, oh my God, we're together. Yay, I get to see my coworker. Yay, I get to see my yoga teacher. Like, this is the community fostering part of it. So you want to make sure that you join early and then give some time after so that, you know, you can do your air hugs or say whatever shows that you're part of the community and you want to help people to feel together. You may be wondering, and this is something that I think about a lot, is do I practice the whole time or do I teach verbally? And I've talked to my teachers about this too. I think it depends on how you authentically are and who you're teaching in front of. I find that with groups that have a ton of new participants, it feels necessary for me to demo a lot, but typically I don't practice with my students. I like to teach verbally, but when I have a ton of new participants, I feel like I need to demo more. And with my regular students, I practice and demo much less. So for you, what I would recommend is think about, how are you authentically? Do you usually practice, or do you teach verbally, or are you somewhere in between? And then also consider, okay, right now I'm in front of this group. What do I see? Do I see a bunch of advanced practitioners? Do I see a bunch of new people? Have they never done yoga? Like, think about all of that. For students, you know, that follow your instructions really, really well. Like today I was teaching a noon class with a client where they could probably practice with their eyes closed and just listen to my instructions because we've worked together for so long, and they know I teach verbally. So for students, you know, that follow your instructions well, who desire direct feedback and verbal adjustments, you could say this blurb at the beginning of class. Hey guys, since we've been working together for a while, and I know you like verbal adjustments, if you're comfortable, feel free to leave your screens visible so that I can see you and give you verbal feedback along the way. And I'll give you an example of what that sounds like. Jenny, that looks great, but reach your right arm more forward and up. Edwin, nice, but roll your shoulders back in up dog. Zach, really good. Make sure to look a little bit forward when you take your push-up. Some people may want to keep their screens dark during the practice, and that's okay too. So I always say that too, like it's totally up to them what they prefer. To be really engaging, use people's names during class, especially if their screens are dark. It's so easy to feel disconnected when you're on your computer, even when you're practicing yoga, you know, virtually together. So like you heard me do, I love to address people by name. And even if you never see the person because their screen is dark, it feels good to feel like you're noticed, you know? So that's part of the community building and engaging people. Also, if you can see people, respond to what you see. Let them know you're there. Let them know you're actually attentive. Like, typically I mute people out when I teach after introing because I want my voice to be of focus, and I'll talk about that more, I think, in the next slide. But if I can see people breathing, I'll say something like, I can see you guys breathing, great job. I can see that you guys are taking your time, really nice. So I like to give a lot of positive affirmations. And I think that's a great way to engage. I just want to make sure that you guys can all still hear me. Hold on one sec. I just want to make sure. If you guys can all hear me, can you just type yes in the chat box? Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. Because that would have been unfortunate if 15 minutes ago you guys lost the ability to hear me. Okay, moving on. So technology. So you know that right now my business is all corporate. I don't teach privates. I don't teach in studios, although I've done all of it. I've done all of it for 10 years. But for the last couple of years, I've solely focused on corporate. So as I speak about technology, I'm mainly going to talk from a corporate yoga point of view, because that's my point of view, okay? So as far as technology, video conferencing platforms, I recommend Zoom. Is it perfect? I could go off for like 9 hours about how it's not. But to me and my companies, it's the industry standard. It's a platform that my partners are already familiar with. And during this time, I'm always thinking, how do I make things easier for them? Like, I don't want to try to partner with them and say, oh yeah, you use Zoom? Okay, when we do our guided meditations virtually for you, we're gonna use this small app video company that has a bunch of glitches that you've never heard of. No, I don't want to do that. I want to make it really, really easy for people. And also, I want to use something that most people have already interfaced with, so that there isn't a lot of learning curve for people to do their sessions with us. So I recommend Zoom. They have a basic account that's free. I find it not enough for my client load. Also, the basic is free, but you're limited to 40-minute max classes. So if you host 60-minute classes, that ain't gonna work. They have different levels of subscription, but Zoom is pretty easy. I ended up doing a bunch of tutorials and just creating an account and messing around and talking to friends, and now I feel pretty proficient at the platform. Some of my clients also use Google Hangout because they're really big into Google and the difference. They're just more familiar with Google than Zoom. So those are the two main platforms that I recommend. If you're like me and you have a team of teachers, so with a team of teachers, it's really nice to be able to schedule, let's say that on a Tuesday at 5 o'clock, your company, you have 10 teachers, you teach a class at 5, Allison on your team teaches at 5:15, and then Joe teaches at 5:30. Those classes all overlap. You can assign co-hosts in Zoom so that running concurrent meetings at the same time becomes more possible. But I also want to give you the truth and say that Zoom doesn't like it. Zoom doesn't like it when you have concurrent meetings going on at the same time. So for those of you who have teams who want to assign co-hosts, and if you encounter issues running meetings at the same time, I'm happy to talk to you about that for hours if you want. One thing that's cool about Zoom is you can record the sessions, and I always emphasize this feature and this ability with our clients because it often adds value. If we're doing virtual sessions with a client and we tell them that we can record the sessions and that they're accessible to people who may have missed the session, or people who really like the session can redo it, that's more value for their investment, right? So I love to promote that. Connectivity, because you're offering something virtually. If your internet is shitty, there may be some shitty audio and really poor clarity to the visuals. So what I recommend is, I actually had a teacher on my team. We got feedback from one of her classes and it was recorded. And so I went back and looked at it. She looked, the clarity was horrible. It was pixelated. I could barely see her. It was pretty sad. And then she, you know, called her internet company and upgraded everything, and now everything is way better. So I can't overemphasize the importance of having a good internet connection. Also, if you're filming on your phone or your computer, and I'll talk more about those options, make sure that you are charged up. I was teaching one of my first virtual classes at the start of the shutdown, and my power cord was accidentally disconnected and my computer went off. I was so embarrassed. I felt so unprofessional, but you know, shit happens and I learned from it. Will that happen ever again? No. And am I happy that I can share that information and tip with you? Yes. Always make sure you're charged up. Okay, so space. You may be in a tight San Francisco apartment like me, or maybe you're like Tiffany and you have this, Tiffany, I think you have a beautiful looking bedroom with a bunch of space. I'm a little bit jealous in the best way. We've got to make the best of what we've got space-wise. So here are some tips when you film or set up before. 1, put distance between you and the camera. If there's no distance between you and your camera, your class may just see your ear, and that would be weird. So make sure to test out first before you start to teach, and make sure that you want to create a distance between you and your camera so that your audience can see more of your body, right? Especially if you're the type of person who demos a lot. What I did was I created a makeshift stand-up desk, and I elevated my laptop like 5 feet off the floor so that my screen is very high and gets more of my room, so that instead of just seeing my legs when I'm doing a pose, they see my entire body. More of your body is better in the view. Make sure that your space looks as much like a yoga studio as possible. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? We're offering yoga, we're offering meditation. If you're a hoarder and we can see that, that is not pleasant. So if you have a bunch of random stuff in your room, I recommend that you move it, put it in your garage, put it in your closet, and make your filming space look really zen. If you're teaching from a mat, I recommend angling your mat at 45 degrees if you have the space, because that's a beautiful way to see more of what you're doing in every single pose rather than straight on or from the side. You get a nice full view from 45 degrees. I've said it, try to get as much of you into the camera as possible. Like, play around, do all kinds of different poses and look at yourself and see what limbs are cut off, and try to prevent that. And then also, especially if you're teaching in the morning or at night, make sure that you're well illuminated. I had to go and totally change my light setup. I had to go buy a stand-up light. I've moved things around. I make sure my drapes are super, super open so I get as much light as possible. So as far as sound, here are a couple tips. City living can be crazy, right, and unpredictable, but do your best to teach from a quiet space with minimal background noise. I was teaching a class and my building fire alarm went off, and I couldn't believe it. I was, you know, it happens, but it was so loud in the middle of my class. The client was very, very forgiving and understanding. She actually laughed. But put yourself in a quiet space so that you can control more of the background noise. When you wear earbuds, it can help to reduce feedback instead of you talking into your computer audio. It also, when you're wearing your earbuds, you have a mic in there, and so it's like you have a built-in mic when you're teaching. Use phone audio instead of computer audio. And I actually want to stop the share for a second and show you how to do that in Zoom, okay? why you want to use phone audio is because let's say that your internet starts to go shoddy. Not only is your visual going to go pretty fragmented and lower quality, but your audio may be delayed. And we don't want to delay when we're teaching, right? So what you can do is when you enter a meeting, you can go over here to this little up arrow near the phone, click that, and you can choose phone audio. I think it's called Connect with Your Phone. And make sure to start your meeting early, not that one. Use your phone because your audio will be more clear through your phone and your phone is not connected to the quality of your internet connection. So that prevents delay between your voice and what they're seeing, okay? Your voice will always be on time. All right, last couple slides. So one thing I like to do is after all the hello, how are you, my blurb about, hey, if you want more direct feedback, leave your screens on. If you're dark, that's, you know, great too. After that, I will ask people to either mute themselves so that all the background noise of Harry the dog and you know, baby Judy and like all the family stuff and work stuff, you don't hear that. So you can, after initial hellos, mute everyone out yourself if you have hosting abilities, or I just ask people to mute themselves. All right, so you already know that I was calling my auntie to help me pay my rent. I didn't need her help, but just in case, right? I have definitely been concerned about yoga teachers in general and yoga teachers around me, and I'm really elated to say that my friends, these are teachers on my team and their friends, that rather than going into a desolate financial professional place, that they're actually doing extremely well going virtually. So I want to say first off that these two teachers have been teaching a long time. This teacher on the left, she's been teaching for, I think, 18 years. This teacher has been teaching for definitely over 5 years. They have, they're corporate teachers for me, but they teach a lot privately and in studios as well. So what they've done is they went virtual and they have a big database of students who are very loyal. And they started offering donation-based classes virtually. They are not lazy teachers. They teach a lot. They have a big following. And what I've heard from them, and I'm happy to share, is that their donation-based classes are doing really well because even though they're donation-based, they're seeing that their students are very generous in what they pay. So these teachers are doing way better than they expected. And I've seen some teachers doing better financially than they were doing before pre-shutdown, okay? So if you're worried, just know that the potential is there for you to do even better now. So these teachers really leveraged email marketing, social media, and they're damn good teachers, teaching really great classes. So I hope that my story creates some light at the end of your tunnel and shows that if you are having a hard time about your yoga teaching career, that especially with help and the right support, that you can flourish if you want to. It's very, very possible. So I have a special offer for you guys, and thank you for joining this class. I'm so happy to connect with you. The special offer for you is that I had mentioned that I have a virtual office yoga teacher training. And if you look to the left, so typically it's $999. It's an amazing training. Long story short, it would teach you to teach like, you know, a skilled corporate yoga teacher. Like everything I know about teaching corporate yoga, I birthed this training. And then also everything you need to know about actually creating a corporate yoga business. Like my business, we've served over 275, no, maybe 260 companies over the last 10 years. We've been around for 10 years. I make 6 figures. And all of that knowledge, all of those nuggets is in this training. So if you enroll today in that training, now is a good time to up level, yeah, virtually. Like you may have more time. It's $666 if you enroll today. And if you enroll today, you know that template I sent out to warm leads, past clients who canceled, I will give you my email template that you can use to transition your classes, your corporate classes to virtual. And I have to say that that template email was written by Brandon, and it's so good. And then I, you know, added a little bit of my flair, but I'll share that with you. And then you also, lastly, will get 1 hour of business coaching with me, which typically my rate is $250, but you would get that free. The other offer, if you go to the right, is I love to teach. And you probably could guess that because I'm a yoga teacher and I will probably never stop doing that. I love it. But I'm also, I think at heart, I love to teach regardless of what the subject matter is. And so on the right, I'm offering yoga business coaching. Like I would love to coach you, be with you, teach you how to go where you want to go with your business, whether that's corporate, happy to talk about that, coach you with that. I have so much experience. I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned from my mistakes, and I don't want you to go through those mistakes. I also have taught studio classes, right? And like the top studios here in San Francisco, and I've taught a bunch of private classes. I've taught for the CEO of Airbnb. I've taught for all different kinds of people, executives, moms, you name it. So if you sign up for coaching today with me, you'll lock in sessions at the rate of, instead of $250, my normal rate, I want to make things easy for you to up level and have the support. So the rate today would be $125. All right. Questions. So now is the moment I'm going to invite you to, hopefully it won't get too loud and crazy, but if you want to say anything, I would suggest unmute yourself and then let's see what happens. Try to pose your question. Anyone?
I have a question, Kim.
Oh, Tiff.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. So I have 2 questions. The first one is about the recording. So tomorrow I actually have a corporate session and they've requested that we now record the Zoom classes. And I teach similar to you, where I'll step back and demo and then come forward and look at the video. Do you just record that way, or do you try to make it more like a demo video for the recording playback?
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, great question. Hey, Tiffany, do you know how to do it in Zoom?
Do I know how to record in Zoom? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that's exactly what I do is when I'm booking the meeting, does anyone want to see how to do that?
Oh, well, my question is more like the teaching, as far as like the teaching technique. should I be demoing more because it's a video, or should I be interacting more?
Oh, I understand what you're saying, because the client is asking for a recording and you know that that recording is going to be accessed. I would think I would go back to, does this client and does the group of students need the demoing? And if not, then I would think you don't have to. But if you can't answer that question and you're like, whoa, I'm kind of going in blind, then I would not demo the whole thing. Although you could, I would focus on, like, you know, when you're doing a sun salutation, teach it once. And then in your subsequent sun salutations, you don't have to do the whole thing, but like cue it because you already taught them. So that's what I recommend, is think about the audience. What do they need? And then in a general sense, I would demo to teach the main thing. And then if you're repeating it, I don't think you need to demo the whole thing. I hope that helps.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Hi, thank you for the presentation. So I just
Yeah.
had my second Zoom group class. I've been teaching my private sessions via Zoom, and that's been going great. The group classes are also going really well, and I do donation-based, and I'm noticing that a lot of the studios are they started free classes, then donation-based, and now they're transitioning to sign up and prepay. I'm in Palo Alto on the peninsula. So my experience is that half of my students are wonderful and very generous, and half of them are not contributing. And also one thing that happened is that people contributed the first class, but not the second. So I'm wondering if there's, and I just said donation based, nothing more, but I'm wondering if you recommend saying a little more about, this is my livelihood, this is how I support my family, you know, just kind of a little more, and does that make sense? Like, I don't want it to be like a guilt trip, but I also want it to be like, do you understand that this is how I'm trying to support myself?
Yeah, I hear you. This is a great question. I think a nice way to put it is, so I'll give you an example. I don't hesitate. I didn't initially tell all my clients, I've lost 90% of my business, I'm booked. You know, like I didn't say that. But over time, because we're all suffering together, like we're all going through these shifts. You know, some people are unemployed, some people have no work. Like, it's kind of the consensus, people understand that things are hard. And so because time has gone by, and with what you've seen, I don't think it would be weird for you to say, I'm so happy to offer classes to everyone. If you are unable to pay, I'm happy you can practice. But if it is possible for you to contribute to me and my family during this difficult time, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helps.
Yes.
Actually, I want to add, Emily just, Crassi, is that how I pronounce your name? Emily just wrote something. She wrote, here's what I say. If you can financially support yoga teachers and studios, please do. Any exchange is accepted with heartfelt thanks. If not, know that nobody will be turned away for lack of funds during these hard times. Thank you for sharing that, Emily. And then Jay said second to that. Thank you, guys. Nadine, you asked a question about, what about pre-recorded screen shares. Are you asking how to share that?
No, I'm suggesting that for people who are working with students who may be new to their cues or clients who aren't familiar with certain flows that you're doing, if it's something that you know is typically confusing in the studio, pre-record it, and then as you're teaching, pop it up as a screen share if you don't want to run back and forth.
Nadine, that's genius. Oh my God, I love it. Do you guys, does that make sense to you guys? Can you envision what that looks like? So Nadine, I'm gonna give an attempt to explain what I think you said. Is like, let's say you know what you're gonna teach, and so before you teach it for a group, you actually record you doing it. And then as you go in and teach this group, you, in your screen share, like I showed you in my presentation, you play you practicing so that as you're cueing, people can see the actual you doing it. Is that what that is, Nadine?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love it.
And that way you can be close up to the screen watching people, and those who are visual learners have something to watch besides you squinting at the screen.
Damn, Nadine, that's like one of the best things I've heard in a long time to use for Zoom.
Oh, I
Thank
gotta
you so
do
much.
that. I gotta.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that
sweet.
is, okay, Tiffany just wrote that that's next level. Like, I totally agree.
This is Emily. I had
Any other
another
questions?
way that I approach it. Hey, I
Yes,
use two
please.
devices always. So I have one device filming from far away, also doing the audio on that device. And then I have an iPad or laptop next to me that has a gallery view of students. And then I can flick through and watch the students while I'm moving even, and then pause and I'm not running back and forth to the video.
I like that. I wish I had the luxury of two screens. I only have one. But I love that. Any other questions, guys?
Hi, this is actually a question maybe. So when you do the two devices, do you have one as the host and the other one as a guest or a co-host?
Someone wrote, Crystal, thank you. You can use your phone as one screen and then your laptop as the other screen. That's cool. That would work for me. But Cressy, I think your question, I think I was watching someone do a YouTube video and that's what she did. She had to have two separate accounts to appear on two screens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think you have to do that, like create a dummy account.
Hey, Kim.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, who is that?
Oh, no. Now I can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
I don't know. Can you hear me, though?
Yeah,
okay.
hi.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and ask. So do you do a shorter Shavasana when you're doing like a Zoom or a recorded class? Just because I typically try to do like an 8 to 10 minute Shavasana, and that feels weird to have people lying there for that long.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So I'm not proud, but in my virtual teaching, I have been running out of Shavasana time. And so I've been giving them 2.5 minutes and maybe a little bit longer, But I like what you said. I think 8 to 10 minutes would be a really long time virtually. So I would shorten it up just a little bit. But you know what I've been doing is I'm like, okay, how do I soothe nervous systems? I kind of get my students to multitask. Yeah, I will put them in legs up the wall for relaxation, and then keep them there longer. Or I'll have them roll up their mat and do corpse with like little bolster underneath the knees. And I think if you have more space to keep them there longer, like you could do 8 minutes if you want to, if like you get them really comfortable. I hope that helps. Okay, good. Nadine said guided Shavasana can go longer. Emily said in regard to 2 screens, you can sign in on both devices, same account. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to try that. All right, any other questions? All right, if there aren't any other questions, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining. I hope that this was informative, and yeah, I hope you got some nuggets, and I hope that it was inspiring, and I hope that you feel supported. Hopefully you guys have my email. It's kim@kimsonyoga.com. Man, I can't believe I cried. I get emotional. This whole thing is like emotional. Feel free to email me. Let me know if you want some help. And my heart goes out to you guys. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
so much, Kim.
Bye, Tiffany.
Thank
So good
you.
to see you. Bye. Thank you for
Have a lovely
joining.
day. Bye.
Bye, Nadine.
Bye,
Bye, Erica. Bye, Nusha.
Bye.
Bye, Tiffany. Bye,
Hugs,
Crystal.
air hugs. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Deb, I see you there. Bye, Jay. Bye, Erica.